Hello everybody, welcome back. The idea for today's video comes courtesy of one of my online students. He is from New York City, and as some of you know, New York is probably my favorite city in the whole world, and I think he knows that too, because every week comes lesson time, he proceeds to turn his phone around so that I can get a nice view of Manhattan from his window. And I think he does it to make me jealous, and it does work. I am jealous, and I think it's some kind of sick revenge for all the stuff I make him do and learn on the guitar. But despite all of these moral flaws, he actually has often some great insight into guitar playing. And I'm of course kidding. I very much appreciate your questions if you're watching. And one of his questions really made me think. And he said, I don't have a lot of time because of work and travel to play, but I really want to improve my alternate picking. So if you could only give me one picking exercise, what would it be? And I really had to think about it. And as some of you know, I wrote a book on alternate picking, which I might as well plug. It's here, and you'll find the link below if you want to check it out. And that's filled with dozens of picking exercises. But I thought, what if I could only teach him one? And I finally settled on this one. And maybe I'm cheating a little bit because it's one exercise, but will apply to actually 3 fingerings and in 2 directions. So I can kind of get away with actually teaching you 6, but it's still one main concept. And the main thing that made me decide on this one is that sometimes when we practice picking, we think of this hand, the picking hand, as basically it. Whereas through years and years of practicing and of learning and of making a bunch of mistakes, I've learned that effective picking actually comes as much from this hand as it does from this one. Because the coordination and the control that you have on the picking hand has to be matched by the coordination and control of your left hand. And most bad picking, most sloppy sounding picking is not really a problem of this hand, it's just miscommunication between them. So here's what we'll do. We'll pick 3 combinations of fingers, which are very common when we're actually playing guitar. And they are the following: fingers 1, 2, and 4, fingers 1, 3, and 4, and then fingers 1, 2, and 4 again, but with an extra fret between the first and second. And we've talked about these combinations before through the years on this channel. And now we'll apply this to 2 strings. And I decided to choose 4th and 3rd string for today because they're actually the easier to play. Sometimes when you read books and they do everything on the 1st string and then they say now apply it to every string. But really the 1st string is pretty hard, it's really thin. It escapes the pick really quickly. It's hard to even know where you're pressing. Something a bit beefier maybe helps. And also this hand is most comfortable when it's resting on the bridge and the strings. And I find the 4th and 3rd strings to be a lot easier than trying to do it here on the 6th or even down here on the 1st. So today we'll focus on 4th and 3rd string. The 3 main exercises are on both strings, combination 1, combination 2, and combination 3. And now this is all ascending, of course, and we'll do the same thing descending. Don't worry about anything at all, because at the end of the video I'll do a close-up and you'll have tabs for everything and you can follow along and it will be extremely easy. Another thing, I won't shred on this video. There's plenty of that on the channel. Maybe I'll link a couple of videos here if you want to go into extreme speeds for picking, but today we'll keep it nice and moderate. And so let's begin. The first combination is going to be 1, 2, and 4. We'll play it on frets 9 to 12. Again, you can move it anywhere you want. And we'll do the following. We'll start with the 4th string going down, up, down. And of course, this is an alternate picking video, so the next string will be up, down, up. And this will be your first exercise. And you can spend as long as you need to. Okay? What you're focusing on here is, first of all, a great pick attack, which for me is parallel to the string. I don't use any kind of inclinations or sloping or angles. I try to hit the string in a very full way to get a full sound. I don't want it to get stuck under the string, so I basically float on top of the string for a lighter touch. The other thing, I want to make sure my timing is correct, so when I changed from one string to the other, I don't want any pauses, any delays, any either anticipation. I don't want any of that. It has to be right, and I'm gonna give you the notes as cleanly as possible. Okay, so really focus on the sound. And finally, if you speed up just a little bit, you might run into problems with coordination. As we said earlier, it's very important that you see both hands separately, but also that you feel them together. You feel that when one finger hits the string, your pick is ready to go. And that's sometimes hard to do, but it's also rarely explained, I think. So make sure it's basically a conducting. You have these two wonderful musicians and you have to make them work together. It's easier said than done, but please do try to get that to work. So now that we have the first combination worked out, we can try playing it backwards or descending. And so we start on the 12th fret of the 3rd string with a downstroke and then upstroke on the 4th. You'll be surprised by how much harder it is for no apparent reason. It's just we have our idiosyncrasies and we are used to moving in certain ways. And this is a great way to even that out, because really we don't want to have a preference downwards or upwards. We have to be able to play in any direction, of course, as we want. So the first two combinations, 9, 10, 12, ascending and then descending. Now we're going to try the same exact thing with 9, 11, 12. Now the added difficulty here is that this finger doesn't respond as well as the others. It's a known fact that your ring finger is not as responsive. You go for a great sound, great timing, great fullness of notes, great coordination. If you have to adjust, you certainly can, but we don't care if it's the 2nd or 3rd finger, we want to even them out. When you're improvising or soloing, you can't pick fingers, right? You have to be able to count on them. And then again, we do it backwards. Always alternating, of course. And finally, I would like you to stretch the 1st finger and again go back to 1 to 4, but now on frets 8, 10, and 12. If you're not used to this, you will have a harder time coordinating both hands simply because of this. It's weird, but it happens. A lot of students will do that at the beginning, so slow it down and try to capture that feeling of control. And now, of course, we'll do it backwards. Opening the hand might make you feel like your pinky gets in the way. That's, again, absolutely normal, but you do want to even that out. Now, this sounds like a very simple thing, but when you go deep with it and you really expect a lot out of the sound, out of the timing, out of everything that's involved, it can go really deep. So now we're going to work all this into a little sequence that you can practice, and I will repeat everything 4 times for each of the exercises, but you can then multiply it by 4 and 8 and 16. And this is basically what we're going to do. We're going to play 9, 10, 12, so 1 to 4 ascending. I'll do it 4 times. Now switch to 1, 3, 4, 9, 11, 12. Switch to 8, 10, 12. And then do the same thing backwards. 4 times, then with the 3rd fingers, and then open. Okay, of course, I'll have a close-up coming right up, but you can do this instead of 4 times, you can do it 8 or 16 or 32 times. You could even do 30 seconds of each or 1 minute of each. There's no limit. And the point is that you really want to get deep within one combination before you switch to the other. So when you're comfortable, you could do it only once, and you're kind of looking at the big picture. But if you're not comfortable, there's nothing wrong in spending a week just working on this and just coordinating the first exercise. It's one exercise, as I said, but it's kind of tricky. It's really 6 of them. When you actually do them, you'll be amazed by how different they feel. So without further ado, let me show it to you from close up. Again, I'll go pretty slow and I'll do 4 times each of the combinations. And there you have it, my desert island alternate picking exercise. I have used this for so long and I can guarantee you that it works. As a matter of fact, if I'm writing music and maybe not working on technique a lot, I always go back to this to put things back in order. I really do. And thank you so much for being there. If you'd like to help me with the channel, please do hit a like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. It makes a big difference. And if you want to go one step further, please do check out my Patreon. It's linked below. You'll find tabs for everything and extra videos. We go into more depth about certain things. You can ask me any question you want and all kinds of cool stuff. But no matter what you do, I really appreciate you being here and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.